Hey guys, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Angelisa and on this channel we talk about books. And today I thought I would do kind of like an updated video. I did one of these back in February. It's my top 10 romance books of all time basically. And I did it back in February, but I realized, I was looking back at my videos, I realized that a lot of the books that was mentioned in that have kind of been dethroned. I still really love those books. They're still some of my favorite romance books. Some of them maybe not so much anymore now that I've thought on it longer, but a good chunk of them I've just read better romance books, in my opinion at least. So that's what we're gonna do today. Is I'm gonna go through my updated top 10 romance books. But first, I wanted to say a quick thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Pear Eyewear. Pear Eyewear was kind enough to send me these super cute eyeglasses that I use daily for working on my computer and reading, actually, because I do read a lot on my iPad. So they do have my prescription and blue light coating on them. On top of that, they're easy to customize because you can actually do something really cool with them and change off the top frame. So I got the base frame of these really cute, just clear eyeglasses, and then I got a few top frames. I've got this tortoise one, I think that's how you say it, blush, kind of pink one that I thought was really cute. I got this blossom Van Gogh painting one, which I thought were really cute as well. The order process was so simple. I went onto Pear Eyewear and browsed their base frames. I used their virtual try-on to see which styles I liked better on my face. I have a very small face, so I wanted to see what the different styles looked like on me, and I ended up going with the Reese base frames, that's what it's called. And then I saw all these cute top frames, and they have all these different collections, everything from basic colors and patterns like tortoise or just plain black or plain pink, all the way to themed ones like Marvel and Harry Potter and Van Gogh paintings like I showed you earlier. There's literally hundreds of styles to choose from to make any look that you could possibly dream of. I also loved the packaging that it came in, being so small and really only using what they needed. There wasn't a lot of excessive packaging, which is a very important thing to me. I try to be environmentally friendly as much as possible, and I just really like that the packaging didn't have a bunch of extra stuff in it. It didn't come in a big box with a bunch of styrofoam. I just really enjoyed that. And they actually came with this really cute glasses pouch that has a pouch to put your top frames in as well. So if you're on the go and you feel like changing up your style, you can do it while you're out. And as a bonus, they have this program called A Pair for a Pair, where every pair of glasses that you purchase, Pear provides a pair of glasses for a child in need, which I thought was really cool. I personally never enjoyed having to go to an optometrist and buy their super expensive glasses from them, and they're literally hundreds of dollars for one pair of glasses in Canada. This was so easy to do and way more affordable in my opinion. And to make it more affordable for you guys, click the link in my description or use the code AngelisaReads15 for 15% off your first pair of glasses from Pear Eyewear. Anyway guys, thank you so much to Pear Eyewear for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back into the top 10 romance books. So I'm not going to talk about these in a particular order. Maybe I'll just talk about the ones that are still on my list first. By the way, I just wanted to say that these aren't numbered my number 1 to 10. These are literally just 10 books that are my top romance books. I could not possibly choose my favorite one if I'm being honest, because they're all very different as well. But first, one that has stayed on this list is Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is one of my favorite romance books. I want to reread this so bad because I read it when I first started reading, and I don't know, this was just, it has a special place in my heart. The writers writing books and living next to each other, and this was one of my first enemies to lovers. But really, it's not enemies to lovers at all. But it was still just I just love this book so much. It just has a special place in my heart, and yeah. This is about Gus and January, and basically they are these two people who went to college together, and they didn't really like each other in college, and then January gets she inherits her dad's house, and she has to basically clean it up to sell it or something. She gets to live in it for the summer. Is that what happens? Basically, it's like forced proximity because they're stuck next door to each other for the summer, and they write completely different types of novels. Gus writes more like sci-fi, mystery thriller, like gory stuff, and she writes more like romance, contemporary romance books. So they challenge each other to write the opposite type of book, like the other person's type of book, and obviously they need to like get help from each other, so they spend a lot of time together, and it's just so cute, and I love this book so much. Next we have Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, and basically Vow of Thieves, but we're just gonna put on Dance of Thieves in here. This is one of my favorite fantasy romance books. I loved it literally so much. I read it I think December last year, and honestly it like changed my life, and I want to reread it so bad. But this was truly like one of the first like best enemies to lovers I've ever read, and if you're looking for like a really good fantasy enemies to lovers, this is definitely it. It is YA, so it's not like super spicy, but it gives just enough like romance, and like there's still like an element of like sexiness between these two characters that is like, you know what I mean? For the adults, it's still like, oh, I ship them so hard. Dance of Thieves is basically about this warrior girl who's like, she's a what would you call it? They're part of like they're part of like the Queen's premier guard, and she's one of them, and they're hunting for these people who have like committed crimes basically across the lands. And she ends up running into the Ballinger's family, who is this family, I kind of think of them as like a mafia family, where like they feel, well, not mafia, I don't know how to explain, but they feel like they have like ownership over certain parts because they've just been here for so long, and they're now getting like blamed for some of the stuff that's going on. So yeah, and there's just like a lot of like deception and betrayal and pretending to be someone that you're not, but like falling in love with your enemy, and it was just so good, so good. But yeah, so this one has definitely stayed on the list. Another fantasy romance we have is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I feel like this will always be one of my favorite romance books. This is one of my favorite couples. I can't say who it is because it is a huge spoiler if you've only read the first book, but this is just one of my favorite fantasy romance books, and I am going to be rereading this so I can like annotate it because I don't have any annotations, but like the floppiness is insane because like I abused reading this book. I didn't increase it that bad. Next we have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is still my favorite Ali Hazelwood book. I did read Love Theoretically recently, and it's almost tied with this, but this is still my favorite. I don't know if it's like, I think it was just like everything about it, like the conference and like how protective Adam got, and like just even like one of the scenes I remember being so like at the time being like very awkward, but also very like sweet and cute, and I just loved this book so much. And the Frappuccino, I remember her being obsessed with like really sweet drinks, and him thinking that like that was so insane. And yeah, the Grumpy Meat Sunshine in this was so fun as well. So yeah, I really like this book, and it's definitely still one of my top romance books. Alright, on to like the new additions to this. Let's just go straight into this. First we have Twisted Games by Anna Huang. This is the second book in the Twisted series. I did read Twisted Love, and I loved that book. Like, don't get me wrong, it's like if I could do like a top 30, it would be in there. But the romance in this and the whole story between Reese and Princess Bridget in this was just So basically this is about Princess Bridget. She's a princess of this country, let's say. It's like a made-up country basically, and she is assigned this bodyguard who's very protective, and that makes it a lot of fun. But he hates the country that she's from because he has like history there, and she ends up she's kind of like tired of being a princess. Like, she just wants to like live her life, and she's happy that she gets to do that because her brother is next in line for the throne, and then her brother abdicates, so she ends up being the person who's next in line for the throne, and kind of like has to learn all of this stuff very fast and learn all the politics and stuff. So it was actually really interesting and kind of reminded me of Princess Diaries. So yeah, super fun, very sexy, very steamy, very spicy, and I just really enjoy this, and I'm gonna continue reading the series and see. I don't know, this might end up being dethroned by one of the other two, we'll see. Next we have Ignite Me. This is the third book in the Shatter Me series. I don't want to spoil it, but I will say that this is the book that kind of like, I'm pretty sure it was this one, that the romance kind of took like a really big turn. Shatter Me is basically like a dystopian series about this girl who like can't touch anyone, otherwise she'll like kill them. So one of the characters in this for the romance, he just does such a good job of like caring for and accepting her and like instilling confidence in her. And at first when you read the series, you're gonna be a little bit taken aback, okay? You're gonna be taken aback by this person and you're gonna be like, why? But then when you keep reading, you're just like, oh my gosh, like I get it. I did do a reading vlog for the first installment for the series if you guys want to watch it and see my reactions to this. But yeah, the romance in this was so good, and I understand everyone's obsession with this specific character that I was always hearing about. Besides like the romance, there was also just a lot of good like character development in these books, and it was just such a fun series and like so many good friendships and like family relationships and found family. So yeah, just a good book series like overall, but the romance in it in this one was just like one of my favorite. Like some of the quotes in this was just like, I was swooning. Next we have another fantasy romance, and it's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. The enemies to lovers again in this, like I think I'm just obsessed with enemies to lovers because like literally all three fantasies in this are enemies to lovers, but I think that's just like a thing. But the enemies to lovers in this was just unmatched, like unmatched. I loved it. Like I wouldn't say unmatched because I still think Dance of Thieves was written better for like enemies to lovers, but I just the banter and like the spice and like the whole story in this, and just like Xaden. I am like mentally dating Xaden at all times. Like I can't even put into words, and I literally would reread this again because there is just, oh my gosh, I can't even put into words how much I love this book. Fourth Wing, it's basically about this girl who she kind of has like a chronic illness. She bruises easily, she breaks bones easily, she gets injured easily, and she's been training to be a scribe her whole life. And she ends up, once she becomes of age, her mom, who is a like general or something in the Riders military, she's like, girl, no, you're becoming a rider. I don't even care if you die. Like that's it. That's what her family does. You're becoming a rider. So Violet ends up training to be a rider, and a dragon rider. And so with that, she ends up obviously encountering the wing leader, Xaden, a bunch of times. And like I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but it was just so much fun to read, and the dragons alone in this made this book so worth it. But the romance was just like, and that's why it's on like my top. But yeah, as a first like fantasy romance book in a series, this was so good, and the development that you got in the romance was actually like a lot quicker than I was expecting, which is nice because I like to just like get into it. And I thought slow burn was one of my favorites, but I'm realizing like it really isn't. Like I just want to get into the nitty-gritty of things, and this does a very good job of that. Next we have a book that actually dethroned a book that was on my video last time and is very similar to this, and it's 11 Other Words by Christina Lauren. I don't want to like bash the other book, but a lot of people don't like that book because of like certain things, especially because another book came out that had like the same trope. It's Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. I don't know. I don't want to say much, but I did really enjoy this, and because it was so similar to the Every Summer After, and this one came out first, and it was this one I just liked better, I ended up putting this one on my top 10 instead. But Macy and Elliot were just like, it was like going home reading this book. Like it felt so homey and cozy, and I thought it was a summer book, but I realized that I feel like more it's like a fall book, and that is literally just because like the like cottage vibes here are more like cozy versus like summer, go swimming, like all that stuff. So yeah, but in general, like the childhood friends to lovers in this, and the big like thing that happened in this actually made sense. So yeah, this one is also like a second chance romance. It is going back and forth between like then and now, when Macy and Elliot were kids and like getting to know each other and like obviously falling in love for the first time, to now when they're kind of like working out what happened all that time ago. And yeah, it's super, super fun. This is one of my favorite romance books, and I think everybody should read this book. Like, especially if you're like a contemporary romance lover, it's so good. Christina and Lauren, they are such good authors. Okay, next we have, and this is actually insane to me, and Hannah Gray should like pat herself on the back because both of her books ended up on this list, Icebreaker and Wildfire. Let's start with Icebreaker. So Icebreaker is about basically these two characters. Nate, he is the like captain of the hockey team at this college, and Anastasia is this like figure skater, and something happens where one of their rinks basically melts and they have to share a rink for the whole semester, and they like don't like each other, or no, she doesn't like him. It's reverse Grumpy Sunshine, so she doesn't really like him and doesn't want to spend time with him, but he's like just trying to be like friends. He's like, come on, like let's work together, like don't be such a grump. And it's so cute, and the communication in this, like it's such a good depiction of like a healthy relationship, and that's why it's one of my favorite romance books, because I truly felt like this is like what romance is. Not the miscommunication tropes, not the like, I mean, except for fantasy, not the spending like years and years hating each other and just not talking to each other, but like meeting each other, being maybe like annoyed, like she's very authentic, but still like talking through your problems. And it was so refreshing to read. And this was, I think, Hannah Grace's like debut novel, so I was like so shocked how amazing this was. I rated it like 6 stars. And then Wildfire came out by Hannah Grace, and I don't know if I rated this 5 stars. I think it was 4.5, 4.75, but it was still like, when I think back to like one of my favorite ones, it was this one, because it was just so like summery and like cozy, and again with like the amazing communication. And I think that's so important in romance books now. Like I feel like we need to just like, I'm so tired of the miscommunication tropes, and I know that like relationships have problems and whatever, but I feel like I'm going into these books because I want like a fluffy comfort read, and that's literally what these are, is comfort reads. So yeah, that's why Hannah Grace's books are some of my favorite romance books. And this one is actually about Russ and Aurora, or Rory for short, and they had a one-night stand, and then they had like a little bit of miscommunication, but it's funny because they make fun of miscommunication tropes in this book. But they had a one-night stand, and they ended up seeing each other again a few weeks later at summer camp, where they're both being camp counselors, and there's like a non-fraternization rule, so they're trying very hard to not break that rule. But obviously there's still some like tension and like attraction there. So yeah, this was so much fun to read, and you get to see that like friend group from Icebreaker again, which is really fun. Anyway guys, that is all of the books that are on my top 10 romance books now. I'm probably gonna do like an update for this probably like once a year, because I do read a lot of romance, and I just, yeah, like to update what my top 10 recommendations are. If you haven't read any of these books, you definitely should. Like guaranteed, if you watch my channel, you like the same books as me, you will love these books. I can guarantee it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below what your top 10 romance books are. I always love to get more romance recommendations. I love to hear what you guys' top 10 romance books are. And yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!